during the opening and beyond, I think the first rule is to not be arrogant, to be inclusive. If you feel that they're not so comfortable in this contemporary art space, I always try to go towards them. I try not to be shy, but to be generous. I try to not be absent and also show up after the opening. Of course, if you curate a show every 2 weeks, that's hard. There's these serial curators. I sometimes wonder how they do it. They send you an email and they have like 4 shows this month opening. I guess I'm in for slow curation, but that's another thing, that this also allows you to engage with each show, and each show is something important to you, and I somehow have a sense that makes them better. So also showing up after the opening, and well, don't be arrogant. What does that play to? If people don't understand your show, it's your fault. Okay, obscurity is failure. In art, like elsewhere, obscurity isn't a reliable indicator of genius. It's not because no one gets it that your show must be mind-blowing. And sometimes the snobbism of the art world really tries to make you think that. And then when you talk to the gallerists, you often figure out that they have no clue, actually. But they still have the snobbism as if they knew it all. But when you really try to engage about the work, sometimes they don't know it either. So they're obscure. The shows are obscure because they don't have a clear vision of the show at all. Make things explicit through clear concepts, so that it isn't like in this New Yorker comic, the artist lives in Port Jervis, New York, if that helps any. These are also these minimal room informations, you know? Like, yeah, you have to get it. If you don't get it, you know, here's the name of the artist and the work. If you don't get it, you're not part of our crowd. Come on, I mean, come down from your horse. Write a clear general statement and a presentation of each work. I think it's important, and explain why each of the works is in the show. It takes some time, yeah, and that's why I talk about slow curating, but I think that's important. It's not institutional, it's just respectful for people who will come to this place and look at your show. And it's very easy, again, to say, oh, that's so institutional, and then like to brush it away, you know, like the Duchamp already did it thing that I talked about before. But I don't think it is. And it's part of the curator's job, whether the gallery asks for it or not. The gallery never asked me for it, and I always did it. I imposed it on them, and I went and I said, why are there show papers out, you know? And can we do an audio guide? So for the Drawing After Digital, I did an audio guide. I put it on SoundCloud, and you buy MP3s, and they now cost like €3 a piece. You can, for those who don't have a phone, to listen to the guide, you can give it to them in the show, and so on and so forth. So I think you should also give a speech at the opening. I like it, you know, it gives it a certain weight. You know, you're doing something there, and it's not just about drinking beer. So I think speeches at openings are a good thing. Even though institutions do it, doesn't make it a worse thing. And your speech, the funny thing is your speech doesn't have to be institutional. So you can make an interesting speech right away. You don't have to say, you know, thank you very much, and the sponsors and whatever. If you have sponsors, do it. But also do curator's walkthroughs. That has really been very, very valuable for me to do curator's walkthroughs. I get very interesting feedback from people. You also sometimes discover new things about the works, things you didn't think about while you do this walkthrough. Then the second rule, don't be shy, be generous. I think most exhibitions, especially of contemporary art, will not be self-explanatory. Explain your show to all those who will work at the gallery. So you also need to see the people that will work there on a daily basis, because you're not going to be there most of the times. And to the visitors before they ask or leave, because in many cases, people, you'll feel like, yeah, they don't really get that, and then they leave again. Well, I think it's a missed opportunity, because they were already there. And you were just, I don't know, too proud or too occupied by your Facebook feed or whatever to go talk to them, or maybe too shy. No, I think you should get over that and really try to engage with people actively, not only passively, not only, I'm here if you have a question. Okay, come on, who's going to come and ask you if you do that? And I think people who do that, they already feel like they've done a great job, you know, because they said that in most galleries they don't even do that. They just continue working, they hardly say hello. Rule 3, don't be absent, show up after the opening. So I think your work doesn't stop when the works are put together. It doesn't stop after the opening. So some ideas are to do more curators walkthroughs, maybe organize a weekend with a performance, go to the show, of course, when you have time, or create an audio guide. Even the good thing is that it's still on SoundCloud afterwards. So if someone now wants to know what was the show in 2006, they can still find some trace of it. Maybe you have images of each work with the texts. Can organize a gallery talk, and also keep the artists posted. Like, what's going on, what happened, do you want to come, there's someone interested in your work. So also try to sort of keep the connection with them while the works are in the show. How do you know it's working? Well, one thing is if the artists get to show their work elsewhere, or find a gallery through a maybe non-institutional exhibition you did. Or if the exhibition creates a new community and friendships, when suddenly people that met during a gallery talk on the writing of writing, they're still friends. Even though I don't get to see them anymore because I don't live in Paris anymore, but something was created around that exhibition. They sort of met each other through their common interest. If I'm invited to another city by someone I didn't know before and who said, hey, I heard you did this show, or I saw this show, then also I guess it's a good sign, of course. How I know it's really working? Well, if the artists tell me that I helped them get through difficult times because I was interested in their work when they felt that they weren't sure anymore, and so on. If strangers send me thank you messages and tell me I've reconciled them with contemporary art. This is all literally stuff that happens when you also talk to those that are not already part of your community. And maybe if people write poems based on the show or whatever, make silly GIFs or or what have you, all kinds of engagement. Yeah, so now we can either look more closely at an example, or I can tell you, enjoy curating, and thank you for your attention.